This is a continuation of our user stories video. Last time we focused on agile methods, and this time we're going to be looking at what a user story is and how to write them. In short, a user story is a brief functional description of a product feature from the specific perspective of a user, that is, one of your personas. So let's unpack this definition a little bit. A user story is brief, it's usually about a sentence in length, and it's a functional description. In other words, it's a description that's meant to be used, i.e., it has a function. It's a description of a product feature. So a product feature is something that a product does. In other words, a feature of a website or an app, like you can upload videos is a feature, you can share or like, that's a feature. There are thousands of different kinds of features. And this description of a feature is given from the specific perspective of a user. In other words, not the perspective of a developer or the company's owner. It's from a user's perspective, from their viewpoint. So that's what a user story is. Teams use user stories in order to determine what features a product will include and when those features will be released. So we'll be looking at that in a few minutes, but that goes back to the agile development model from the last video. The main thing to keep in mind about a user story is it is created when you have a user and that user has a need, and that the user plus the need equals the story. So we'll look at that in the next slide. In order to write a user story, you put the user, their need, and their goal all into one sentence. So this is the template that you can follow, and you can use this for writing all of your user stories. As a blank persona, I want blank feature so I can blank goal. And here's an example. As a local customer, that's the type of persona, I want easy to find hours of operation, that's the name of the feature, so I can place my order. That's the goal. As a local customer, I want easy to find hours of operation so I can place my order. That is a user story. User stories are organized into epics. Epics are like rough, large-scale stories that describe the major tasks that a user can undertake. For example, as a takeout customer, I need to view the menu, place, edit, cancel an order, pay for an order, report a problem, answer my questions. These are all grouped under place an order, or I want to make a takeout order. And you can see I've written the individual names of the sub-stories on these different post-it notes here. The overall epic includes all of these post-it notes. So the overall epic would be, as a takeout customer, I want to place an order efficiently. And that would include all of these sub-steps. So what we do is we start by creating individual epics and then slicing them. And we write stories for each of the pieces of the epic. So for example, for the epic of place an order, I might have a whole bunch of sub-stories. As a takeout customer, I need to be able to view the total. As a takeout customer, I need to be able to view the quantity of each item. As a takeout customer, I need to see how much tax I'm going to pay. As a takeout customer, I want to tip my driver. As a takeout customer, I need to know what time my order will arrive, and so forth. And these are all the ones I came up with just very quickly, and there's probably a bunch more. So all of these sub-stories together create the one epic story of placing an order. And the reason why these are all listed out on post-it notes is because that's a handy way to keep track of all of the different stories. Once we've got all the stories generated, we need to map them. In other words, organizing and reorganizing them. And we are trying to put our MVP items first. MVP is a term from Agile. It means minimal viable product. So that is the smallest version of the product that we can ship. So for example, here I've got 3 epics: view, edit, and pay, or maybe these are just 3 types of user stories. And in version 1 of the app, I'll ship these different stories. And in version 1.1, I'll ship these other stories or features, and so forth. And as the product evolves through the different versions, more of the features get shipped. For your wire flow, you're going to be completing just one section of the full user story map. So, for instance, if you're doing a takeout order, you might just be covering how to view what the order contains, whereas other people might be doing the editing or might be doing the payment. Another example, if you're doing, say, adopting a pet, you might be doing the search through all the pets in order to find one, while someone else might be doing fill out the adoption paperwork, and someone else might be doing maybe put a pet up for adoption. So you're not going to be doing the whole user story map, you're just going to be doing one section of it. And here's an example, a very simplified example of what a user flow might look like. Here's the story. I want my transaction to be simple and secure. So like as a takeout customer, I want my transaction to be simple and secure. And I've got 3 user stories that create this epic: log in, view, and buy. And here I've got my login screen, my view screen, and my buy screen. Now this is very simple, and we'll talk about more in-depth examples as we get later on into this unit. But for now, you can see how we go from a user story like this here to the different features here, and then finally down to the wire frames here. And so what we're going to be creating for our final project in this unit is a flow, a wire flow, which is a connected series of wire frames. So you're actually going to be generating user stories, turning them into different sub-stories, and then creating the actual wire frame screens for each of them. We'll talk more about this as the unit goes on.